this actually dates back to May once the ACP program actually kind of faltered and there wasn't any more funding. There was a proposal that I think is being sent over to Senate potentially for a broader telco fund that would include ACP support, some fiscal stimulus for the program. Now, when and if that comes to fruition, obviously T-Mobile gets involved, but without direct funding, T-Mobile in and of themselves, I don't think they support anything other than I think they support Lifeline because of Sprint. I think it goes back that far. I know for a fact that Dish and Boost also offer some kind of support through the Lifeline services. So that's going to kind of be the way to get any type of funding. In terms of the action steps, obviously it's not ready for prime time. This is going to have to probably go through and get some signatures. But it would be huge because that $30 subsidy was pretty important for a lot of people. I think at one point they said 20 million people were signed up through ACP, and even more if you had Lifeline.
Just a little bit on that ACP. I still feel like the internet providers need to be providing a better optionality
for the low income situation.
Right. So, like, for example, if you can only pay $10, or
there should be a
let's say
tier for that.
There should be a tier for $10.
Yeah.
Because, and I know Zero Cool and I have talked about this, and Chacha, we've talked about this multiple times. I'd rather get $10 than nothing.
Exactly.
I'd rather get $5 than nothing.
And they have proven that they'll disconnect, and they've proven they will disconnect.
I have a totally different mindset than when it comes to profitability, because I also think about it as it's technically a write-off. You can put this as your goodwill benefit, right? Like, hey, I've written off a couple of different lines, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tens of thousands across the United States. Federal government, I need more tax write-offs because I've literally provided a benefit to my customers. I feel like if that was the negotiating tactic, the lobbying tactic, everybody would do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, Chacha? Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that's pretty smart. And I think every CFO kind of comes into every year thinking, well, how do we do this in a way that's going to be fiscally offer some fiscal relief? Like, because there's business expenses, and then there's tax write-offs, and then there's, the support and donations. Like, there's all these different things businesses do to reduce their tax burden. And then, of course, they could get into the good graces of regulators and other folks in government positions that are overseeing these things through agencies. So I think, I think you're onto something there, Moose.
Well, so on T-Mobile specifically,
Max, take this one? Can you take this super chat right here? He said, any other service I can be a part of.
So I think if you're looking for the T-Mobile network, you're going to do Mint Mobile. Or you could go with, if you need more data, Metro Unlimited one line for $25. I know T-Mobile owns Assurance Wireless, which they got from Sprint. I don't know too much about that, but they do Lifeline stuff.
They suck.
And, yeah, I'm sure they do. I know they give out like the absolute shittiest phones you can imagine, but I don't know too much about the specific plans they have. I don't know if maybe a BYOD is a good option with them, but for sure, if you just want something cheap, you can go with Mint Mobile or the one line for $25 for Metro. Remember, you got to get auto pay on, lock that in for $25. Otherwise, you're paying $30 a month. Also, no matter what, your first month is $30. But yeah, those are some options I could give you for a T-Mobile network.
And then you have like the structure for Mobile X, which becomes a low-cost option. I think it's
Verizon.
$5 for calling and texting.
Yeah.
And then like $1 something a gig after that.
Yeah, and then I don't know if you saw this, Sneed, but yesterday Stetson has a weekly newsletter, and his newsletter yesterday was for the best super cheap plans. There was a plan from Good to Go Mobile, which is on AT&T, for $5 a month, unlimited talk and text with 1 gig of data, which $5 if you pay annually. So for $5 a month, that's something you can't beat if AT&T is good. I think they also run on the T-Mobile network, so you've got quite a few options there. So It's not as good as something like the ACP where you could get up to $30 subsidized for you, but it's something affordable to get yourself into.
Yeah, hopefully that gives you some ideas. Frank, did you want to throw anything out there? If we missed anything, possibly?
As far as the T-Mobile side, the ACP and the Lifeline program, Sneed, they actually stopped supporting that at when the merger agreement ended in the month of March of this year. Because I saw a lot of customers coming into the
Ah,
store saying,
so it had
hey,
a time like expiration that they only had to
exactly,
support it for X number of years or whatever.
exactly. Because I had a lot of legacy Sprint customers on the Kickstarter plans that all of a sudden started paying $50 a month
Right.
instead of 25, or people that had the legacy Sprint home internet back before
What
they
was
got
that,
acquired by T. What was that?
Frank? What was the plan that they did right after the merger? It was like they give you like a gig. It was like $15 a month, and then each year that you stayed with them, they'd give you another gig or something like that.
That was the legacy version of the T-Mobile Connect plan,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
it started off at $15, and then after 1 year of paying, you got moved up to 1.5, and then eventually after 4 years, you would eventually end up with 5 gigs. But if you're gonna do that, just use my man sneedmobile partner link for Mint Mobile and
Or
get
mine.
unlimited for $45 a month. For
Mm.
$45 for 3 months. Um, and then for the other story you guys were covering with the copper, I agree with a lot of things that Moose was saying. It's expensive, but at the same time, it's beneficial. But a lot of these cable providers have monopolies in certain areas. Like in my area where I'm at, thankfully, I praise the Lord that Xfinity finally put down some fiber in my area, and I absolutely love my fiber. I'll never go back to anything non-fiber again. But there's a lot of areas literally 12 miles down the road from my house to the north where my uncle lives. Nobody goes there. Starlink doesn't even get out there. There's no fiber lines, no cable lines. They only have Frontier DSL 10 by 1. And I did see that there was a lot of uh, telco providers that had wireless home internet that had 5G in that area that were trying to put in, permits and stuff to like get partnerships with local fiber providers, like municipal fiber providers, and the counties were just turning them down because, like Moose was saying, there's a lot of uh, municipalities that give kickbacks to the monopolized providers in those areas to be the only ones that serve those areas. So I think that has a lot to do with it too.